we should be live. And either as you click on to get the notification of this or watching it back later, the thumbnail should be appropriate. And let me minimize it here. So, Dwayne Cummings, 9516, user requested, highlighted comment, saying, Paul, I enjoyed your 2K5 tutorial practice videos. And I subscribed. I really need some guidance on reading safeties on the offensive side to improve my passing and running at age 52. I just never got into understanding play calling, etc. 20 years ago, Madden was pretty easy, and I learned from tutorials on play calling information, etc. ESPN isn't too forgiving if you don't understand completely. I use Scrimmage a lot to learn, and Wikipedia, etc. Any good reading, etc. resources from you would be much appreciated. Paul, thanks for reading. Go Lions, they say. And I really appreciate it, Dwayne Cummings. There's things I can break down in the individual message and also show you here in the video. So, thank you very much for being a fan, subscribing, enjoying the videos that I actually break all this stuff down. When it comes to the bottom for reading and resources, there's all kinds of free material out there, or at least there's on the 7 C's of piracy, but there's different places. But I believe it's footballxos.com has free playbooks. And it's not just playbooks, that's the thing, this can be scary as you say, like, I want a playbook, I want to learn without like being an NFL player. But in reality, like, dive into their pages, look at their high school stuff, and look at a lot of material. Some of them will say playbook, but they're actually like a clinic. One of the things that I really loved is Monty Kiffin's 4-3 defense with the Minnesota Vikings, and it's not really a playbook, it's like a 7-page PDF that he breaks down the defensive front and really cover 3 and cover 2 and defensive schemes and all that, which is a big inspiration to my defensive tutorial video that I have. But the fact of the matter is there's also like Bill Walsh's QB manual, which isn't really a thing. It's just a collection of articles and writings that Walsh has had about quarterback and being an offensive coach and everything. So even though it's footballxos.com and there's like a playbook section, there's things that are not technically playbooks, but they will be helpful and they're really good reads. In a similar way, Alex Gibbs, rest in peace, former offensive line coach. He is the one that's generally considered the father/grandfather, whatever, of the zone run scheme. I found, at least in the past, many files with his clinics and articles going back to his time against the Broncos, and even times with Atlanta and so forth, where he talks about zone schemes. There's lots of material. It's really what you want to dive into. And so, with that in mind, I'm sure the viewers sitting here at 3 minutes are saying, get to the video game, Paul! And I will, because we're here at 2K5. And so, since Dwayne Cummings is a Lions fan, we're going to put the Lions on offense. Now, I'm on my Xbox 360, and I'm really not in the mood of hooking up a second wireless controller with my batteries and all of that, because then I don't want to forget the batteries and the controller and blah, blah, blah. One of the advantages of just using my original Xbox, once I get it fixed and when I had it working, is I could just have 2 wired controllers in and do things. If you're just playing the default game, this is going to be your roster. This is going to be your default Lions playbook. So try to make it personalized. Here we have Split Pro, and it is the first formation out of the set of plays. So we might as well take a look at your third play here, double swing. And why? Well, the first thing that I want to see you with 90Z seam, 90Z slam. I don't really like these plays, regardless of what they are. I know you asked about identifying safeties, but we're going to briefly talk about plays and designs and what I do and I don't like about them. Most 90 plays are 3-step drop, and in this case, I'm going to just get the ball out here. But they're often not even the 3-step drop that we're hoping that they would be. You can see he just takes the 1 step and he's ready to go. And it's just not a play that I like. It's not even a classic 3-step slant play. I just don't like it. You're also so close to the center, you're just going to ask to get sacked immediately. And then there's a run play, and that's not going to help us as a quarterback. So that's why, the third play in the list here, 50 double swing. 50 should mean that we have a 5-step drop. So 9 in 90 doesn't mean you have a 9-step drop, but it's typically the quick passing plays, and it's supposed to normally be 3-step drops. But 50 is double swing, 5-step drop, and we can see we've got a clear out or an alert from L, who is just running down the field. We've got a curl over the middle from our tight end, and we have a flag or corner route to the B button with both of our running backs swinging out. So we're going to look at defense, and the defensive line does matter, but it doesn't matter for the point of this video that you've requested, so we're going to go to base. Just letting you know, we're like doing the swing out play, and we're going to look at it in greater detail later, but Dwayne was asking about coverages, identifying safeties. I'm at almost 6 minutes, and I haven't really answered the question at all, so you might be killing me, but that's the situation of going live. Let's take a look at these different boxes in the 4-3 defense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different boxes times 3 plays. There are 18 different plays to look at. We're not going to go through every single one of them in great detail, but as Dwayne asks, safety identification. And let's take a look at what we have here. It says weak crash 1. The 1, just so everyone knows, some people say like, oh, I know all this stuff, but just to make sure we're on the same page, 1 is the cover high, the 1 safety. The 1 deep middle of the field safety. So that's where the 1 comes from. Whereas 2 hard, here the 2 is a representation of the 2 deep safeties. The hard is the corners are really tight to the line of scrimmage. Okay, you're going to see 2 soft here in the middle, and they're not tight to the line of scrimmage. So you can see 2 hard and 2 soft. And the linebackers are not identical, but they're pretty much the same. It's what the corners are doing with the hard and the soft. And then I believe we can find 2-man here right in the middle. 2-man in real football, meaning like NFL, like conversations and playbooks, is often referred to as cover 5 because you have the 2 safeties and then you have 5 men in man coverage, the 3 linebackers and the 2 corners. So 5 in man coverage, so they call it cover 5 often. Again, what are some of the reasons? We have cover 1, we have cover 2. Cover 3, you can see here, strong blast 3. Cover 4, we might be able to show where do they have a cover 4 in this playbook. They do not have one here. So let's see if they have a cover 4 in the dime. We get to the names and stuff in just a little bit. Here we go. This is cover 12, cover 4 cloud, combo inside zone. The one that's called cover 12 right here with the 4 deep corner, or the 2 deep corners and the 2 deep safeties, that's more really what I was taught as cover 4. It also has the nickname palms, like palm trees. There's like 4 palm trees, just the big long line with the top of the palm tree, right? Whereas 4 cloud, you can see, actually has 3 deep, so it's like a weird name that they gave it in the video game. And then 4 sky on the right side also doesn't have 4 coverage, so it's really weird that they call those 4. You have the 4 underneath, but really cover 3 typically has 4 underneath. That's like the play. You can see 3 here, 3 robber in the middle. It has, 4 coverage players in the middle. So I don't know why 2K has decided to name things cover 4 that aren't cover 4. But regardless of that, we were talking about the ideas of 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s. And that's why when we see 2-man, we call it cover 5. Cover 6, just to let you know, is usually, I don't really see it in this video game, it's more in Madden, and it is a real life play, is you have some variation of this cover 2 hard or cover 2 soft. Is half of the coverage is the 2 hard or the 2 soft, and the other half of the coverage is like a cover 3. And if I do see an example of it in the video game here, I'll show you. But I don't really see it in the 2K game. It is, well, it's kind of this 4 cloud, because you can imagine 1 deep safety is going to that half, and you can see on the left hand side the corner is in the flat, and you can see the linebacker on the left is covering like a cover 2 style, where the right side, the middle linebacker going to the right, is kind of like a cover 4 or a form of cover 3 with a deep safety over the middle, a deep corner, and then the 2 middle linebacker and outside linebacker covering there. So that what they call cover, or what they call 4 cloud here in this game, is kind of what we would call cover 6. And I know that we don't want to get into the semantics of one system or another, but it really helps in terminology and jargon if we're truly like on the same. If I have any live chats right now, I haven't checked. It says I have one consecutive viewer at a time. We have 2 current viewers right now. No comments in the chat yet. So please, if you want to comment, I can respond the best I can. And to get back on topic here, also we see strong fire 0. So there's no deep coverage. So that's cover 0. So we've gone 7 and 8 that I don't really want to get into. But I hope this is like some basic information of just like terminology so we understand each other. With that in mind, going back to Dwayne's comment, asking how do we identify the safeties and all that when we're playing the game, and what does it matter, what does it mean, like all those kinds of details. We're going to have to get into that. So we're going to have to talk about what the strengths and weaknesses are of the different coverages, whether it's cover 1, cover 0, whatever. I think it's easy to discuss strong fire 0 first because it's 0. There's no deep coverage. And you can see Dwayne right here on the screen. There is nothing deep. Right? They've got the NFL shield back there, and all the defenders are up in the box. There's 4 down linemen. There's 3 linebackers behind it. One of the safeties is right on top of our tight end, and the other safety on the left-hand side of the screen, he is about 6-ish yards off the line of scrimmage. There's no one deep. So that's why I also say we have the alert to L. Now, I'm not going to guarantee that we're going to be able to complete this, but we're going to be able to take a shot. So we're going to drop back and just take a shot to L. And we get sacked. It's okay. That's fine. The result isn't nearly as important to me as showing you what's going on. With cover 0, like we see the pressure and then there's a release. And because there's no safety over the top, functionally he's like wide open for the shot. So we still got to be able to actually get the throw off. We've got to be able to drop back. And at that point, like, we were still kind of pressured to get the throw off. But with no deep coverage, and if I can lob that better, that could be a touchdown shot. Right? So let's take a look. Let's drop back. Yeah, the problem is, without any additional help, I might need to roll out. Yeah, with cover 0, and you're seeing it live right now, the problem is you do risk and you can have instant pressure. So I want to see if we see a cover 0. I can ask the tight end to help block. Will that make any difference at all? We still have so much pressure in our face with all of this pressure here. You can see like everyone is coming after us. That we're just unable to get the throw off. I wonder if we go Y. Here, I was looking to see if I could hot route multiple. I don't think I have multiple hot route on. Okay, I do have multiple hot route on. So like all of these pass protectors. And he drops it. Okay, I don't want to spend much more time on that. But you get the idea. If we get the protection and it's cover 0, there's just literally no one out here. There's no one out there. Then we have the opportunity to get an alert and just get one-on-one to our guy. Be that Calvin Johnson or whoever you want out there. And then obviously you've got slider settings and difficulty settings and everything. And get the ball in the hands of your player. Right? So that's some cover 0 action. And what it looks like pre-snap. So let's call the same base play here. Let's go base. And so they have a cover 0 force fire. They have all-out blitz. They have tight fire 0. They have strong fire 0. Any other zeros? Yeah, the force fire 0. So we're going to start with force fire 0. You can see what it looks like on the field. Now we're going to go to another 0 play. And it's all blitz 0. Again, we know what the play call is, but you can see the way the defense is aligned. We're going to go to, let's look here, tight fire 0. Again, we're just identifying. Just visually look at the formation. Look at what the players are. Look where the safety is. The safety is not up on the line of scrimmage with the tight end. However, he is within the yellow line. He is inside 10 yards. He's at around 8-ish off the line of scrimmage. So there again, there's no deep help. They're up in the box, so they're showing 0. We can say double swing, And there was one more cover 0, I thought. Yes, strong fire 0. So these are all 0 looks. Okay? And part of my point of showing you all these looks is they can have all kinds of different blitz packages coming at different angles, different alignments, and they're all 0. And they can all be like different plays, but still 0. Okay? So you're not just going to see the exact same play over and over again. Hope that makes sense. Next thing is, since we go from 0, we might as well go to number 1. So they have weak crash 1. And now you see it looks completely different. So we're just going to just drop back. We're going to then let the ball go. And we don't care about the result. Because Dwayne asked us, how do we tell the difference? And I say, there was nobody back here in 0. There's somebody back here in 1. So just because they have a guy back here doesn't mean he's going to stay back there. But he's cover 1. And his main idea is to cover the middle of the field. Now, when you get lucky, if you are the Seattle Seahawks with Earl Thomas, you know, the Legion of Boom and all of that, if you have Ed Reed, if you have an elite safety, what they say is being able to cover sideline to sideline. From here to the sideline is just over 25 yards. They say the football field is 53 and a quarter, 53 and 3/4 yards. Oh, God, I should remember that and should know that. But 53 and it's not quite 54 yards aside. So 25 aside would only be 50 wide. So 26 aside would be 52. So it's about 26 yards roughly to the middle of the field. So you've got to be able to cover 26 yards. Well, I mean, if you just do the basic math, if someone runs like a 4.4 40, then maybe in like 2.2 or whatever their 10-yard splits are, or whatever, they can cover the ground in about 2 seconds, 2.5, whatever. They should be able to cover sideline to sideline. And that has to do with the ball being in the air and making the coverage reads and all of that, that you can have fast and smart safeties that can break from one side of the field to the other. And they also don't have to go all the way to physically the sideline. They can still get there and make a pop, right? So don't demand it of your safeties, because you can also be absolutely punished if you think you need a safety that also can't cover both sides. They can only cover one side. And if they've got a strong-armed quarterback and they've got a really fast wide receiver, you're going to pressure him, and he might not be able to get there. But that is a tell pre-snap of cover 1. So let's take a look at cover 1 a little bit more. Here is strong blast 1. And you can still see the cover 1 safety up there, though it's coming from a different safety position. So in that regard, let's snap the ball. And again, we're just going to throw it to L. We're going to get sacked, actually. I do not care about the results of the play. I'm not trying to make your lines look bad. I just have default roster on. He hits his drop back. I'm trying to make a throw. Whatever. Dwayne asked, how do we identify? Now it's a different safety, right? Last time it was Tony Parrish. Now it's Hurd, right? Doesn't matter. There's free safety. There's strong safety. It's a cover 1 safety over the middle of the field. Okay? So you can see that. And let's continue to do the identifications. So we saw 2 different cover 1s. Spear 1, same thing. Now, let's make a comparison here. Parrish is up here on the line of scrimmage. Okay? He's up at the tight end. Is that true now? Like, see how he looks? Okay? And let's go to resume. Is Parrish in the same spot? No, he isn't. Bringing up the names, you can see where Parrish is. Okay? Helps to know the names of the safeties that you're dealing with. But the fact of the matter is, you can identify where the safeties are lined up, and they're definitely showing 1 high. Okay? Hope that makes sense. So let's look at some more. We have, let's keep going. Those are 0s and everything else. Are there other ones? Strong Indian 1. Parrish is in the same position as the previous play, and Hurd is in that position. Okay? So strong Indian 1. Weak crash 1, strong blitz 1. You're going to notice something about, and there's spear 1. You're going to notice something about these cover 1 plays is they tend to send a blitzer, right? In cover 0, let's go up to the very first cover 0 play that we had here, force fire. There are 2 white arrows drawn. Those are blitzers. So they have no deep coverage. They have 4 pass rushers on the defensive line. They have 5 little white nub lines going up. That means everyone is in man, one-on-one. And then that leaves 2 other defenders to do something. They could drop back into zone. You could even user control 1 and have him not blitz. And you can just drop in and user cover. You can do whatever. But the fact is you've got the opportunity, and the reason why you're usually calling a cover 0 is because you're sending extra pressure. So that's not going to be the case with cover 1 because you can't send both guys. So in Spear 1, you're just sending one guy, and the other one is in coverage. But you still see the 3 little nubs for the linebackers, and you still see both corners. That's still 5 men in coverage. Let's take a look at the other cover 1s here. Those are 0s. It's another 0. Here is Strong Indian 1. So it's the safety blitzing, and it's the linebackers in the corners in coverage. You can see here in Weak Crash 1, instead of having the corners in coverage, one of the corners is blitzing, and you have the safety and 3 linebackers all in man coverage. So again, that is what it is. That's what's going on. So that's what cover 1 looks like over and over and over again. Now, we can look at cover 2, but I'd actually like to discuss cover 3. So the very first page has 1 and 2 coverage. Page 2 here, the second little bar, has cover 1, cover 2, cover 0. The third page has cover 2, cover 2, cover 3. So in cover 3, we're going to come out, and you might say to yourself, hey, wait a minute. That looks like cover 1, Paul. That looks like cover 1. And you'd be right. That's the thing about cover 3 and cover 1 that is really nice. Is pre-snap, they're going to look the same. So you don't know if it's going to be 1 or 3. You don't know. There are certain tells about sending guys in motion and all that I'm sure people in the comments can discuss. But the reality of the matter is, especially with real-life football and, with better video games, is you're not just going to have the giveaway. So it can look like 1, it can look like 3. So we draw it back. I don't care. I accidentally called the run, but let's just go here. Let's go base, and let's go cover 3. So 3 blasts. Oh, okay. Did I not hit the right button? Strong 3 blast, the B button. Oh, wow. Interesting. They decided to come out with a different look. That's also really cool. So sometimes they're showing the cover 1 immediately out of the shell, and sometimes they're disguising it with the... Is that the same play I was looking at? Yeah, Strong 3 Blast. Sometimes they want to look like a 4 shell. So we can look like this. And we don't guarantee that we're going to get the same look. So now Herd and Perish look like they're split like a cover 2, which we haven't talked about cover 2, but this is what a cover 2 would look like. And they're going to rotate into a cover 3. We're going to draw it back. We're going to get sacked. And what I mean by they're going to rotate. So even though the safety starts here, he's going to go back into the middle of the field. He's going to rotate to the middle of the field. He's not going to drift off into a cover 2, which again, we haven't talked about cover 2, but his body language is he's going to rotate into 3. Start in 2, rotate to 3. That's what the terminology means. And here, this safety is going to stay here, and instead of dropping like a cover 2 or a cover 4, he's going to play underneath in a cover 3. Okay? That's not going to be the case if he's in cover 1. So let's go back to another cover 1 that doesn't have him blitz. So, yeah, we can go Weak Crash 1. No, that's another one. Let's go Strong Blast 1. Okay. We saw Perish. He dropped here into his zone. Okay? We identified our 2 safeties. The middle of the field is open, as opposed to a safety standing here being the middle of the field is closed. But we rotate to the middle of the field closed, and this safety comes out here, right? So, is that going to be the same here? We see Perish. We drop back. We're going to swing it out. We're going to throw. And does he rotate in the zone? No, he doesn't. He stays in man. Now, you know that I called cover 1 man, but the fact is he did not flare out, though he could have, right? We don't know what's going to happen. I'm trying to get out of the menu. There we go. So hopefully that makes sense. So let's go back to double swing. And you see Strong Blast 3. Let's have 3 weak. So do you remember, before we do 3 weak, we had Crash 1. Perish is up high. Herd is on the backside. Okay. Hope you remember that. Now we can look at 3 weak. They're lining up again like split safeties. Sometimes they will line up looking like the cover one that I showed you just a moment ago, where Parrish is in the middle of the field and Herd might be up. Sometimes they do that. Sometimes they do this. It's disguising coverages. That's the other thing. So what Dwayne is asking me is, how do we tell the difference? Well, part of the point is the defense doesn't want you to tell the difference all the time. I hope that makes sense. Like, they're trying to disguise it. They're trying to show you too high and then rotate into a 3 shell. So, we just talked about rotate from the free safety. This is a rotation. He goes from being split out to covering the middle of the field. Now, he doesn't go all the way, but he's trying to cover the middle of the field. Okay? So, that's, again, terminology we say when the safeties, when they rotate. That's usually what we're talking about. So, we see too high, and you're like, okay, too high. The middle of the field is going to be wide open. Let's just attack the middle of the field, and it's not open. Okay? We see this big open gap because the safeties are 1, 2 safeties high. They're split. Let's attack the middle of the field. Wait, no, he rotated to the middle. Okay? So that's what it is. That's this guy's coverage. So let's keep going. And that's 3 weak. Here is for Cloud. There's Key Zone. We can talk about that stuff in a minute. Here's Spear 3. They're trying to look like cover 1, like I mentioned earlier. They're not really disguising the coverage, are they? So we can draw it back. We can have a very similar situation. So here's something about cover 1 and cover 3. In the end, you're still just asking this guy to go one-on-one. So whether it's cover 1 or 3, you do have an opportunity, a possibility of just winning. Just going deep and winning because he's not got any help. So on defense, you really shouldn't be this close to the wide receiver in cover 3. Because you risk this exact thing happening to you and getting burned down the field. Right? You've got to stay over the top. Even in this video game, they'll say, you've got to stay deeper than deepest, or something like that. You'll hear that sound. That's what they need to do. Otherwise, they risk what just happened. So let's go 50 double swing. And what else is left? We've done Spear 3. Force Sky. So Force Sky is not truly a cover 4. They look like 2. We're dropping back. They rotate in the shell. And we're still able to catch it even underneath it. I'm not even pressing anything. I'm just letting him run with the ball. But there's, again, the rotation. Cover 2 high. And then they rotate. He comes down. And we've got the single high safety. Okay? So, there's more to it. We've been talking about all this cover 2 stuff. Let's actually start looking at it. There's too hard. Herd and Parrish are split like cover 2. I said that we can attack the middle of the field. So let's do exactly that with Alexander. Let's drop back. Let's throw inside of the safety. And really, we're trying to cause a conflict here because, yes, this is the right person to throw to because it's cover 2 hard. But I'm trying to have the idea of having this receiver, which is a tight end, but this receiving threat, I should say, and this receiving threat putting pressure on one player. Right? He can't cover both. Right? Put yourselves in the eyes of a Greg Jennings. I know it's not Greg Jennings. It's a reference to a video from a long time ago. Basically, you're in the mind of this safety, and it's like, okay, you got 2 guys running down the seam at you. I mean, technically, this is the seam, and this is not the seam, but you got 2 guys running you down. Do you flow over here, or do you leave this in the middle open? You don't have help here. He's busy doing his thing. That's why the weakness of the cover 2 is the deep middle. Okay? Now, it's the same play. They're disguising into a cover 1 look, right? We see Herd and Parrish. So, they look like they're showing us a 1. And we're going to drop back. And what happens? They show us middle of the field closed. They show us cover 1 or cover 3 possibility. And just like when in cover 1 and cover 3, they faked 2, well, here in 2, they faked 1. And they rotated out. So they showed middle of the field closed. This is the middle of the field. There's a defender in it. they're showing middle of the field closed, and then he rolled out of it. So they usually rotate into something or they roll out, right? They rotate into the middle of the field or they roll out. That's another bit of terminology that we hear. So he rolled out, okay? Instead of rotating the coverage or having like one guy here and then having the other guy rotate to the top. Sometimes the safety's down here and he bails to rotate up to the top and he'll rotate down or whatever. But yeah, he's basically rolling out of the coverage, and we can see the middle of the field opens wide up, right? So that's some looks with some cover 2. Hope that makes sense. Okay, let's continue. Just base. That was too hard, too soft. It's going to be the same thing. It's just the coverage underneath. We're going to have 2 weak blast. This is weak blast 2H. The 2H is for 2 coverage hard. So weak blast. They are blitzing off the weak side. So that's why it's weak blast 2H, 2 hard. I hope that makes sense. We've already seen strong blast 3, so let's look at 2-man. Again, they're showing cover 1 or cover 3. They're showing middle of the field close. We draw it back. We launch it down the field. And you can see the bracket coverage over the top. They've got an underneath player and an over the top player here. So they've got 2 guys covering our player. And he should make that interception. But also, again, the idea that they're showing middle of the field closed. Then they roll out. And the middle of the field is technically wide open over here. Maybe even this space splitting. Right? So let's just look at another play. Here, base. That was weak blast 2H, then 2-man. We just saw 2-man. 3 weak, we've already seen that. We've seen the zeros. We've seen the 4 cloud. No, we haven't looked at 4 cloud. Let's look at 4 cloud. They're showing too high. And they can kind of rotate in this coverage. And he should intercept that as well. I said this 4 cloud is like cover 6. He's playing the flat. Like too hard. He's kind of playing like too hard, maybe a little too soft, whatever. We saw what too soft and too hard meant. I don't mean like T-O-O-O. I don't mean T-O-O soft, like he's soft, he's excessively soft. I mean 2, the number 2, soft, that we talked about earlier. And then the 2 right here. Whereas this is playing like a 4. Okay? He's kind of in the middle of the field. He's in the deep here area. This was either 3 or 4. The idea, and again, the way the linebackers are, you basically have 1, 2 underneath, 3, 4 over the top. Those 4 players versus these 3 players, and the way that their triangle, their zone works. There's a reason for that. We're not going into the tactics. That's not the point of the video. It's that Mr. Cummings asked us to discuss identifying the coverages. So that's what we're doing. We're looking at key zone. So key zone is interesting. It's another way that they try to disguise, to hide, to manipulate you, because they don't have deep safeties. They have 2 deep corners, and the middle linebacker is playing the deep third. How about that? That's why I'm also saving this for later. So they can show you those 2 high safeties. You drop back. I'm just going to make a throw out here. And apparently my Xbox wants to crash while I'm trying to make the throw. Well, thankfully, it's just my regular Xbox 360, and I should be able to turn it off and turn it back on while we're recording. So I apologize for the blank screen while we should be restarting here. But the idea is, if you're identifying the safeties and they play that key zone, you're like eyeing the strong safety or you're eyeing the free safety, and you see them like playing soft, and you might use that as an alert. And that alert will cause you to throw deep down the field, except they have 3 coverage deep down the field and they can get you. Right? It's a gotcha play. So it works better when you're playing against another human. And when the computer runs it against you as a human, that you can be baited into it. Because there are, like, air quote, rules, not rules of the game, like holding or something, but, like, if you want to talk about, like, what coaches teach you to do, is, and I'm trying to show my Xbox. It's a hacked Xbox 360 or a modified 360 with Aurora dashboard. So sometimes it takes a while for it to hook up. So I'm trying to turn it off and turn it back on again. So yeah, just turn it off, turn it back on, like to hook, to catch, to do whatever. It's got to fire up to turn on. So I'm going to keep talking here into the blank screen. I hope it still is at least marginally entertaining. But the idea is that key zone that I was trying to show you, yeah, here now it's fired up and it's going to go. So it's loading through the little Xbox logo and everything. We're going to get into 2K5 again for you. Get it all started up. But the point is, they're there to trick you. And that's the point, like to have a variety of defensive looks, defensive plays. So you can see pre-snap, the way the safeties are aligning what they're showing you doesn't mean they're going to stay in it. Okay? That's one of the big deals. They can rotate out, they can roll into, roll out of, like different terminology that people use. But let's go here. ESPN NFL 2K5. Let's go through the whole process. And so whatever they show you pre-snap doesn't mean that's what you're going to get post-snap. Right? It just helps you identify. So I think that allows me to go to the next layer of my conversation, which is to say, try to take advantage of leverage. If they have a middle of the field safety and he needs to rotate out or roll out to cover 2, you might still be able to get an out-breaking route because he has so much field, so much ground he has to cover to get out, which is also why he's like bailing at full speed. So sometimes you can just still throw throws you're not supposed to against cover 2, but because of his leverage, it's a problem. Let's go to options. Let's go to difficulty. I have my own custom difficulty. Okay. Let's go to options, load, and let's go to roster number 1. Roster 1 is basically the final roster update, and then I made some depth chart changes. Let's go to game modes. Let's go to practice. Let's go to scrimmage. Let's go offensive play calling. We're going to do the Lions. We're going to go against my 49ers. Okay? So, with that in mind, as I was saying, you can sometimes take advantage of leverage. Here is 50 double swing. And let's go base, and let's go cover 2 hard. And because we know the call, and it's cover 2, we should be able to attack with B. Gets the release, gets the ball out here, and we get in space in the weakness of the zone. After all, his job is to cover this area, and his job is to cover this deep middle, and no one is responsible for this part of the field, and it's a place for us to attack. And it doesn't mean they completely abandon it. They still close in on me and actually make a tackle. But his job is to care more about this underneath throw. So we just threw to where it's supposed to go. But let's imagine we don't. And okay, here we go. It's cover. They're showing middle of the field, closed. And we know it's a cover 2. Can we take advantage of the shot to streets? We drop back. And I threw it super late. I was actually running with the quarterback to the left because I thought I had already hit the L trigger and pass lead to the left. I was not trying to actually scramble to the left. So that's a problem. I need to actually make sure I'm getting my throw off. Let's try that again. Drop. All right. Now I got more of what I wanted here to actually throw and lead to the left. It's not the result I wanted, but my point was, whether he's actually in cover 1 or cover 3, the fact is if he tries to roll to 2, which he does, is he ever going to get there on time? So let's see if we can take advantage of it next time they show it to us. They show it to us again. Can we drop back and throw a bullet out to the left? Can we drop back? Ooh, he's able to cut it off. That's pretty good. That is a good thing. I tried leading to the left. I don't know if maximum passing leading to the left is going to make a difference. But you can see as we get the release here. And is this Ty Streets? I'm pretty sure that's Ty Streets, a former 49er. Depth chart, offense. Yeah, it's got to be Ty Streets. Former Niner, that's what I thought. But I'm not a big-time Lions fan to know that. I love Ty Streets. Play with him in Madden 2002, Madden 2003. Love getting him the ball. But you get the release in the coverage. And what my goal was to pass it and lead it out here and not give him a chance to make the play. But even with the bullet, he's able to cut it off. So sometimes you can, sometimes you can't take advantage of it. There's another whole issue here of he goes for an inside release. I would prefer him attacking an outside release, releasing up here and working towards the sideline. That's something that coaches tell us to really do, and it's not what he does here because you want to work away from that safety. So it's not what we see, and it's part of the problem. You should get up, get an outside release, work the sideline, and allow the quarterback to throw you the ball out here or whatever, and make it a lot more challenging for the safety to get out there and stop that completion. Okay? Whereas, let's go back to cover 2 hard. They're just showing the split field. So we're going to drop back, and now we're going to intentionally throw it down to A. And the reason why we intentionally threw it down to A is what I was talking about, the coverage of this corner. So he can come up, and he looks like he's going to kind of cover this guy. He could even peel back, as we saw. But if we go to check down, he's going to be in position to stop us as soon as we check down, right? He could potentially even jump that route and intercept it. So we drop back, we hit our back foot, and then we fire the ball in there. And because of my interception slider settings and all that, he's actually able to cut it off, and the ball isn't placed in the best spot in the world. We should be placing the ball out here towards the sideline, which you may see on TV. They say put it in a place where no one can get it. Either the wide receiver can get it or no one else can. And what happens with the quarterback putting the ball? He's putting the ball on the inside of the wide receiver instead of out here to the outside. So that's why it's really important that you also use your pass lead. So we know what the play is pre-snap. We're going to drop back. He gets a little bump. And that time, I get the outside pass. He still has it like on the inside shoulder, and I wanted it more outside. But we got it far enough outside, and after this little bump press animation, we had enough of a release that he can't cover both. He can't drop back and cover Roy Williams and come up and cover this flat. And since his job is too hard, like literally TWO, too hard, he's not going to get to this one, and we can get downfield, and depending on the angle, depending on the tackle, we could even take this to the house, all the way to the barn. Right? So all this pre-snap stuff, you've got to learn the coverage responsibilities of the defense. So cover 2 hard, cover 2 soft, cover 2 man. They want to protect against underneath and inside breaking plays. Cover 1, it can get beat inside. It can get beat outside. It can get beat a lot. It shouldn't get beat over the top, but I don't like cover 1s for a lot of reasons in the video games versus real life. Real life, it can be really strong. You're sending a blitzer. You can often, instead of having a blitzer, you can have a high-low safety deep over the middle and a linebacker or the other safety over the intermediate middle, robbing the play because a lot of quarterbacks like to throw over the middle, so you've got 2 guys over the middle and you can react to crossing routes and all of that. So cover 1 is really good in real life. In the video game, it's very flimsy. They don't follow the defensive rules, like what the coaches tell you to do in terms of coverages. You don't get realistic NFL coverage out of cover 1. So you're going to see in a lot of my videos that I prefer cover 3 zones, because at least they're in a zone and they're like in a space on the field to make a play, or cover 2 looks. So I like it when I have cover 2s and they can look like my 3s, and my 3s can look like my 2s, or they can look like what they really are, or I flip them. But I don't really like cover 1s for the most part. But what I like doesn't matter. It's what the computer runs and how they handle things. So just because we know this is cover 5, like the 2 man under, doesn't mean that it's really going to be it when the ball is snapped. We still got to get our confirmation as we drop back. Now, here's what I'm going to say. This is the cover 5, the 2 man under. It's not hard. It's not soft. It's man. So where this was a great play against the zone, it's terrible against man because now he's bracketed. Now he's got a high and a low man all over him. Right? And the other factor is because it's man, they usually have a linebacker or someone trying to cover this player. But it's rock, paper, scissors, right? In football, if you're in man, then there's an opportunity that there's just no one out there to get to your back. Now, 2K is a whole other issue where I don't like throwing the flats to the backs because of various reasons. This just inaccurate ball behind his head. Sometimes it bricks it off his shoulder, or bricks it off his helmet, bricks it off his elbow. Sometimes they do this weird animation where they turn around to catch the ball and then like fall on the ground or whatever and don't run with it. It's really ugly and nasty, and I don't like it, especially in this specific video game. But then, you can play Madden, you can play whatever game you want. Throwing to the flats is a nice play. But with man coverage, especially to these fullbacks, or you also with these split backs, sometimes having both of them as halfbacks, and their speed, instead of having a traditional fullback, having two halfbacks, two pass catching, potentially fast players, is this player is coming off and he's trailing. Now see, he also instantly knows the ball's being thrown even though he can't see it. That's a whole other mess. Is you can just have an advantage where you're pulling the coverage off 10, 15 yards down the field, swing it out to here, he can catch it and then run for the first down. And that's why they often call these kinds of swing routes an extension of the run game, because instead of like a turnaround and pitch and he runs to the sideline, but we're still just tossing it out here like a run game, and he's just going to go up and down the sidelines, right? So, it's just a variety of looks. It's understanding your plays on offense, knowing where your guys are supposed to be, and making your reads before the snap, what you expect versus what you get. So we're expecting cover 3 or we're expecting cover 1, but I know for a fact that I called cover 2 hard. You can make your checks, you can make your alerts, no matter what your play is. You drop back, you see him bail, and then you have to do something with the football afterwards. You're like, well, if they stay where they're at, if they stay in 1 or 3, we're going to do this. And if he bails, if he rolls out, we're going to do this instead. And that's what it is as a quarterback, is you're just dropping back and you're like, if he stays home, we do this. If he bails, we do that. Like, that really helps you while you're doing your drop back. You're like, okay, he's bailing, so we want to do this instead of that. And we have whatever the this and that is. Hope it makes sense. Hope that's helpful. I'm going to check out my situation. We're at almost 50 minutes. This has been a very detailed video. I hope it helps many people out there and is entertaining in its own way. Until next time.